Okay, so have you ever been there? That incredibly frustrating moment, right? You're listening to English, maybe a movie or reading something, even just following a conversation, and you get it, like perfectly. Every word makes sense, but then suddenly it's your turn to speak.
Yeah.
And poof, nothing. Mind goes blank, tongue feels tied. That perfect sentence you had, just gone.
Oh, absolutely. If that sounds familiar to you listening, you are definitely not alone.
It feels like being stuck in some kind of linguistic limbo, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
It's something so many learners talk about. It's almost universal.
Yeah.
You know, you've got all this knowledge stored up, this passive understanding, but actually producing the language. It feels like hitting this huge invisible wall right between your brain and your mouth.
Yeah, that invisible wall, that really hits home. And it's so disheartening, isn't it? It makes you question all the effort.
It absolutely can.
So, okay, that invisible wall, it's not just a feeling then. There's something real going on. What's actually happening there when we freeze up? Is it just retrieval or something deeper about how we learned?
That's a great question because, you know, it often does come back to how we actually acquire and then use language. When you're listening or reading, you're using what we call passive skills.
Okay.
Your brain's like a super efficient receiver. Think of it like being a really engaged spectator at a football match. You understand the rules. You follow the plays.
Yeah, you know what's going on.
Exactly. You're absorbing it all, building this huge database in your head.
That football analogy makes perfect sense. And, well, it explains why so many of us get stuck, right? Because traditional learning, especially in schools, it hammers those passive skills.
Heavy emphasis there.
Hours listening, reading textbooks, comprehension drills, which, okay, they're important for the foundation, vocabulary, grammar.
Definitely important, yeah.
But they don't really train the speaking muscles, do they? The active part.
Precisely. Speaking and writing, those are the active skills. They need you to like rapidly pull information out, form thoughts, structure sentences, and then say them coherently, spontaneously.
Right.
So sticking with the football idea, it's the difference between watching the game, knowing all the rules, and actually getting on the field to play.
Ah, okay.
You might know the strategies, but if you haven't practiced dribbling, passing, shooting under pressure, you'll struggle. Your brain knows the words, maybe, but your mouth and mind haven't had enough practice putting it all together in real time.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting for me, and I think for a lot of people listening, it's not always just the skill gap, is it? That brain freeze, it feels like. Well, it feels like fear.
Oh, absolutely.
The fear of messing up, sounding silly, being judged, or just not being understood. It's paralyzing. You might have the sentence ready, and then that little voice goes, uh-oh, what if it's wrong? And bang, silence. Your brain just slams on the brakes.
It's such a vicious cycle, isn't it? Like quicksand. I've seen so many students, brilliant with grammar, huge vocabularies, but put them in a real conversation. They freeze.
Yeah.
Just freeze. They're so worried about saying it wrong, they end up saying nothing at all.
Which just reinforces the problem.
Exactly.
Right.
The fear stops you speaking. Not speaking means no practice. No practice means less confidence, which means more fear. The brain just learns to avoid it.
And we forget that everyone makes mistakes. Even native speakers trip over words or say awkward things. Language isn't about textbook perfection. It's about connecting, right?
Connection over perfection, absolutely.
So if we're stuck in this loop, understanding but not speaking, and fear is this massive barrier, what do we do? How do we actually bridge that gap? How do we get from knowing it passively to actually confidently saying it?
Well, that's exactly what we want to dive into today. Because the good news is there are clear reasons this happens, and more importantly, there are concrete, actionable things you can do.
Okay, good.
We've actually put together a simple framework, kind of a roadmap, that we call the SPEAK method.
Right.
It's all about actively engaging with English, building those speaking muscles, and turning that passive knowledge into active, confident communication.
Speak. Okay, I like that. Let's break it down. S.
S is for shadowing.
Shadowing. Okay, explain that. It's not just repeating, right?
No, not quite. It's more like a powerful neural bypass.
Yeah.
You listen to a native speaker, it could be a podcast, YouTube, a movie clip, and you immediately try to repeat exactly what they say. Mimic everything, the pronunciation, the rhythm, the intonation, as closely as you can.
Like being an echo, but a really focused echo.
Exactly, a purposeful echo. The goal isn't just understanding, it's the physical act of producing the sounds. You're training your brain to link the sound directly to the production, sort of skipping the slow translation or grammar check part in your head.
Ah, so it builds like a motor memory for the sounds.
Precisely. A reflexive pathway. Crucial for speaking spontaneously. Start small, short phrases, then work up to sentences. It feels weird at first, definitely.
I bet.
But consistency here is absolutely key.
Okay, S for shadowing. Got it. What's P?
P is for practice with purpose.
Practice with purpose. Okay, so not just chatting aimlessly.
Right. It's not quite enough just to speak. You need an objective, Before you even start talking, maybe even just talking to yourself, set a small, achievable goal.
Like what kind of goal?
Well, maybe you decide, okay, today I'm going to deliberately use these 3 new words I learned. Or I'm going to focus on using the present perfect tense correctly. Or even just, my goal is to ask follow-up questions to keep this conversation going.
Okay, so having a specific target.
Exactly. When you practice with purpose, every single interaction becomes like a mini lesson. You'll see progress much faster than just, random chatting. It turns casual talk into focused learning, forces your brain to actively retrieve and apply.
Makes sense. Targeted practice.
Okay, SPE.
E is for embrace mistakes.
This sounds like the big one, related to the fear we talked about. It really is. This is probably the most crucial mindset shift, because mistakes, they aren't failures. They are literally stepping stones to fluency.
Okay, tell me more. How are they stepping stones?
Well, every single error you make gives your brain precise data. It shows your neural networks exactly where an adjustment is needed. Without those little disruptions, your brain doesn't get the signal to optimize its language model.
So it's not just being okay with mistakes.
No. It's actively using them, leveraging them as essential feedback for your brain's learning algorithm. If you wait until you think you're perfect to speak, guess what?
You'll never speak.
You'll never speak. So you almost have to celebrate them.
Yeah.
See them as proof. You're engaging, you're trying, you're giving your brain the raw data it needs to improve.
Embrace mistakes. Okay, that's powerful. SPEA.
A is for active listening.
Active listening. But we're talking about speaking. That sounds a bit counterintuitive.
It does sound a bit counterintuitive, yeah. But it's incredibly important for improving your own speaking. Active listening isn't just hearing words. It's paying really close attention to how native speakers talk, how they structure sentences, the specific phrases they use, their intonation, even, how they pause strategically.
So you're listening for patterns you can use yourself.
Exactly. You're collecting data, essentially. Notice how they answer questions, how they agree or disagree, transition between topics. The more you consciously observe these patterns, the more you can absorb them, and the more natural your own speech will become over time. It's like reverse engineering their fluency to build your own internal model.
Okay, active listening. Got it. That leaves K.
And finally, K is for keep it consistent.
Consistency. Always the tough one, but probably the most important.
Absolutely. It's maybe the most challenging, but also the most rewarding part. Look, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes a day, consistent practice is way more effective than one long marathon session every 2 weeks.
Right. Little and often.
Little and often. Short, regular bursts build momentum. They keep the language fresh in your mind, prevent you from losing touch. You need to make speaking English part of your daily routine somehow.
How, though? Like practical examples.
Talk to yourself.
Yeah.
In the shower. Narrate your commute. Practice sentences in front of a mirror. Or ideally, find a language exchange partner, someone to talk with regularly. The point is, the more consistently you exercise those speaking muscles and get that real-time feedback loop going,
The stronger they get.
the stronger they get and the more natural and effortless speaking will eventually feel.
Okay, so speak, shadowing, practice with purpose, embrace mistakes, active listening, and keep it consistent. That's a really clear framework.
That's the idea, to give you a clear path forward.
So let's just recap quickly then. If you're listening and you understand English well, but speaking feels like climbing a mountain. Remember, it often comes down to that gap, right? Between the passive skills understanding and the active skills actually producing the language.
And that gap gets magnified, often hugely, by those psychological barriers we talked about, especially fear. Fear of mistakes, fear of judgment, that's the invisible wall.
But the speak method shadowing, practice with purpose, embrace mistakes, active listening, keep it consistent, that gives you a real roadmap, doesn't it? Concrete steps to tackle both the skill gap and the fear.
Exactly. And remember, you are absolutely not alone on this journey. Millions, truly millions of English learners face this exact hurdle.
Yeah.
But with dedication, the right strategies, and importantly, patience with yourself, you really can bridge that gap. you can become a confident, fluent English speaker.
Start small, be patient, celebrate the little wins along the way. That sounds like good advice.
Definitely. And so maybe a little challenge for you listening.
Oh, okay, let's hear it.
Pick just one part of the speak method, just one, and commit to trying it this week.
Okay, like what?
Maybe try shadowing for just 10 minutes each morning while you make coffee. Or, before your next English conversation, maybe online or at work, set a clear purpose. I will use this new phrase I learned, something like that, just one small step.
I like that. Just one thing this week. Makes it feel manageable. Well, this has been incredibly helpful. Thank you for breaking that down for us.
My pleasure.
And for everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And maybe leave you with this thought. Remember that consistent engagement, really learning from every time you talk, especially the mistakes, and trying to shift your focus from perfection to connection. That's the real path, isn't it?
It truly is.
It leads to that natural, effortless speaking we're all aiming for.
Yeah.
Maybe reflect on that, how just applying these small practices consistently could genuinely transform your confidence over time.